Removal. Oh, rise, shine, give glory. Rise, shine, give God glory. Rise, shine, God glory, glory to his name. Rise and shine, it's coffee time. Happy New Year. This is a combination between Across the Arts and just wish you all a morning coffee, a happy new year. What's going on, everybody? Rise and shine. Y'all, I'm going to tell y'all what, I'm going to be very honest. I'm a bit broke down this morning. Y'all, I was in here when I got home from church yesterday. I did a little bit of cooking because, Mama said you always have your own food, your own treats in your own house. And that's exactly what I did. So yesterday, after church, I had already soaked my black eyed peas the night before. I had soaked my black eyed peas the night before. I had already, I had soaked my chicken and seasoned that the night before. And then I had some other things. So yesterday, when I got home from church, I fried my chicken. I had some meatballs that I had from earlier Christmas. Um, I made some fresh deviled eggs. I made my black eyed peas. I think I already said that. I made some greens. And I had some wonderful bubbly at home because y'all, it's so much craziness out in the streets. What did you all do for the holiday? I think if you comment, I'm able to put your comment on the screen. I think. Let's see. Let's see. I think. Yo, I have a bit on my restream so on. I will certainly acknowledge you. Oh, that's what it does. Wait a minute, I haven't been on my restream in so long. But anyway, rise and shine, everybody. Get on up, y'all. I don't think I'm going anywhere today because I was doing so much yesterday. And tomorrow it is back to work. It is back to work. But y'all, let's talk about 2023 as we move forward into 2024. I would love to hear about some of the things you've done, but I'll just tell you from an artistic standpoint that, this was a great year. It wasn't as heavy as it usually is for me because I was in the middle of a transition. I'm going to turn my music back on. You all know I'm listening to the great, my favorite, Kathleen Battle. So you all know it was kind of slow at the beginning because I wasn't really on the scene like I normally had been. because I was, hometown, which I enjoyed being there. But I never imagined that I would be transitioning back here to the DC area. But then things jumped off. You know what I'm saying? I put some of those things up there that happened. Of course, you all know I was down in Petersburg. I was conducting the university choir and serving as interim director of choral activities. That was an interim post. And once that ended, I didn't make any plans because I didn't know that I was going to be doing anything. And then the opportunity just dropped, it seemed like from heaven. It was a newly created position at Washington Conservatory for the Development and Communications Manager. And I took that job. It was a great, great opportunity. And that allowed me to come back here to the DC area. So what are you all doing? Some wonderful happened as far as like concerts that I did get to go to at the top of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. I went and heard, and I'm sorry this stuff runs together, and I don't speak from a script, so you all have to forgive me. But hey, Ari, good morning. Good morning, brother. Happy New Year. So many things happened. They performed the Verdi Requiem. I want to say that was at Strathmore, and Morris Robinson and Michelle Bradley and others were in that. It was amazing to be there to support, especially Morris Robinson, because it's always amazing when he comes to town. He has his following as far, especially his Qs and the Deltas. They really come out. So that was, I do remember that so many things happened. Um, More recently, I guess to go backwards would be easier for Christmas holiday. Shout out to the Washington Bach concert. I had the opportunity to hear the Christmas oratorio at the Music Center at Strathmore. And that was special because the founder of the Washington Bach concert, J. Riley Lewis, he always wanted that to be done there. And it was performed there at the Music Center. And you all know it's such a full circle. I think I've shared this to ad nauseum now. You guys, I live right literally like a stone's throw from Strathmore. Like if I really wanted to walk, I could walk. But good morning, everybody. Rise and shine, rise and shine, rise and shine. I was reading through my Facebook memories, y'all, and it reminded me that I said Jesus be a BC. I didn't need a BC this morning. Glory to God. Hey, Tamisha. But I'm so glad that I did not have to do that this morning. But who I asked you all in the status and no one answered me. Who was the first voice that you heard on New Year's Day at midnight? My first voice that I heard was my dad, because as I mentioned, y'all, I was knocked out. And it was my dad that called me just a little short of midnight to wish me a happy New Year. So who was the first voice that you guys heard? That's always special. I remember, now people don't call as much. The first thing they do is, they text. But I remember back in the day, remember when you midnight came, you were just so happy and ready to call somebody special, whether it was your family member, whether it was your boo, whether it was your boo, you were just happy to call. But you all, I'm so excited about 2024. Some exciting things coming up. I hope that you all will tune in to Across the Arts. Our first installment of the new year is going to be on this Saturday. It's going to be virtual, but it's going to be this Saturday at 11 o'clock. You can watch it here on Facebook. You can watch it on YouTube as well. But I will be interviewing the acclaimed composer, Jeffrey Mumford. And this interview is so long overdue. We have been connected for so long on Facebook, with the opportunity never really had the presented itself for interview, even though I did hear his music several years ago under the auspices of Washington Performing Arts and Alice at Cambridge, and it was a few other people involved in that. Sandra Seaton, there was a few other people involved in this particular concert that he was actually there in the house, and we met in person. But this will be the first time that we're having a sit down. So I hope that you all will join us for Across the Arts. I haven't put the graphic up just yet, but if you all will join us for Across the Arts, the conversation series, it'll be an interview with Jeffrey Mumford. And this is ahead of his upcoming concert at the Kennedy Center with the Post-Classical Ensemble, his residency with them. And it's a concert that's co-presented with the Coalition for African Americans in the Performing Arts. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to try my best to see, can I find her? So I'm going to see, can I find this concert for you all? Because I hope that you support it. It's going to be amazing. And you know, that's the downside of these things. I never, I guess, pre-prompt these things. And I kind of like it for it to be organic, but at the same time, I need, hey, Miss Drummond, Happy New Year. Hey, Caprina, Happy New Year. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Jeffrey Mumford so you have a little idea. So Jeffrey Mumford, he is the composer in residence at Oberlin Conservatory of Music, and he joined the faculty at Oberlin as an assistant professor of composition in 2000 after a year as artist in residence at Bowling Green University's College of Musical Arts. And prior to this time, he had been an instructor at the Washington, D.C. Conservatory of Music. Shout out to Washington Conservatory of Music, who we're co-presenting this interview for Across the Arts on Saturday. He earned his Bachelor of Arts at the University of Irvine, California in 1977, and his Master from the University of California, San Diego in 1981. His works are inspired by cloud imagery and are commonly titled to allude to the impressions or moods behind the creative impulse by making reference to light or degrees of light. And so this particular performance that he's doing at the Kennedy Center is again with the Post-Classical Ensemble. And I'm trying to find the exact event. And I'm trying to go to the Kennedy Center's calendar. So maybe if I go to the calendar, it will pop up. And if it does, I'm going to drop it. Let's see the link. Let's see. Here it is. The concert is called Post-Classical Ensemble Presents Amazing Grace. And I'm going to, let's see, can I click on this? And I'm going to drop my link in the chat. So let's see. Y'all, I haven't been on here so long, so I hope I remember how to do all this stuff. Let's see. I think I got it. So if you all see, that is in, hopefully it should be in the chat. Let me know if you all see it, but that is the information. The concert, again, is with the Post-Classical Ensemble, and it's going to be a wonderful presentation. So I'm doing this interview ahead of that, so I hope that you all will explore it. I don't see it. For some reason, it showed up in my on my side. Let me see. Can I show? Let me maybe spirit. There we go. I think it. There we go. So that's the link. I have to get back in the hang of using my restream because I rarely use it. I just pop on here. So that is the link if you're interested. Good morning, Caprina. Good morning. Happy New Year. Y'all, go ahead and write me a comment. And now I figured out now. So I will put you all up on the screen. Good morning. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Happy New Year. Come on in. So what do you all have going on in the new year? So I mentioned this the first installment for 2024 of Across the Arts with acclaimed composer Jeffrey Mumford. I hope that you all will help me spread the word once I share it. Share the graphic. It will be here on all of my Facebook channels and pages. It will also, hey Omar, good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year. You all go ahead. I would love to put your comments up. I see how did my sister's comment, I was able to share hers. I want to be able to put your comments. So if you get, it's like a permission, I guess, but I see that I was able to put my sister's comment up like that, and I would like to do yours. I'm not sure why I can't, because I see all these comments on my phone. Well, good morning, rather shy song. Even though it's right, shall give God glory. Yes. But I hope that you all will share the interview on this Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. 11 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. I guess we're Eastern Standard Time. But anyway. Hey, Tracy, good morning. Happy New Year. And so that interview is going to be a series, and I'm looking forward to it. It's ahead of the big concert that's being presented by the Kennedy Center. And I hope that you all will um, go and check it out. This is the link to the actual event. So if you go to Kennedy Center's website, you can explore and learn more. And again, it's a coaching for African Americans in the performing arts. Shout out to Terry Allen, my dear friend. So y'all, I am, I'm excited about the new year because some things have already yielded fruit. And I want to talk a little bit ahead about what's going on with across the arts, across the picking up steam. And, from 2023, we really had a great year. I was so excited that I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Adolphus Hailstork under the auspices of the Cathedral Choral Society and the Heritage Signature Chorale. That was wonderful ahead of their concert that they did at the Cathedral. I was so excited, that I was able to honor and fet Dr. Michael Stepniak, who is the Dean in the Arts at my Conservatory of Shenandoah University. He's the Dean of Creativity in the Arts. University Dean, able to host a live, independently produced iteration of Across the Arts at the Gaylord, and it was a wonderful event. Hey, Brandy, good morning. Happy New Year. And so it is my dream, it is my heart's desire that I will start to do these live iterations of Across the Arts before a live audience. And that was a little bit different because I wanted to honor him. So it was a little bit more opulent. It was a reception. And shout out to so many people who helped me. Shout out to Deidre Robinson and Robinson Music. Shout out to Adam Graham, who did the lavish spread for that event. Shout out to so many, but I was just so glad that my friends came to support that event. And as I mentioned, I just hope that I will get the opportunity to do that. My dream is to do it across the world. I'm telling you, I'm ready. I have my passport. So, if someone is interested in me coming to Europe or somewhere, and you're in one of these opera houses, and you can at least try to put me up or something, I'll pay to get my way there. But I would love to have that opportunity. But Across the Arts is doing this thing. I have some prospects of venues lined up. And please keep Across the Arts in mind if you're especially if you're at a university and you have like a series and you would like for me to come and curate, or have a live conversation on your campus. I would love to do that. I remember years ago someone told me that they wouldn't hear what I had to say until I had gone to 10 venues. And I've done that. I've done that, starting with the University of California at Irvine. Shout out to Dr. Daryl Taylor and the African American Art Song Alliance, who has always been supportive, even before we met in person. And he gave me that, and present in California all those years ago. And things have really continued. I've been several places, and this summer was amazing because I was blessed to be a part of HBCU Art. Shout out to Dr. Jolie Rock for having me in collaboration with the Coalition for African Americans and Performing Arts. She had a magnificent HBCU Arts Festival there in Martha's Vineyard. So we made our Massachusetts debut at Martha's Vineyard, and it was amazing. And I was able to be on a panel, and it was just a great experience. So, things are really springboarding into 2024, the level of things that I have done and would want to do. And I can't mention all of the wonderful performing artists allow me to be a part, of their ventures. I must shout out my mainstay, ensembles and organizations who welcome me with open arms. And I hope that continues. I hope that our relationships expand. If I forget somebody, let me know. But I just want to call off. These are people who really, in essence, roll out the red carpet. Hey, Jim Kelly, roll out the red carpet and invite me to their events. And as I mentioned, I know I kind of informally typed very quickly a little status about my year-end review, but I am going to put something on my website because it's so many concerts that I have gone to this year that I just really couldn't. There's no way I could just put it on a status bar. But rise and shine. I hope you all got your coffee. Get your coffee. I know I'm talking. But I would love to hear what you all have done, and I'm trying to figure out how I can put your comments up on the screen. My sister must have. Caprina, you must be a genius at this because your comment, it allows me to put yours, but everybody else who's commenting, I don't see their comments. So if there's a please that please allow it so I can feature you on here. But y'all, it's so many venue ensembles. I'm going to start off as since Jim Kelly popped up on the screen. I want to just really thank him and the National Philharmonic and Chorale under the director of Peter Gajewski. They just do great work, and as I mentioned, I still can't. I am in the backyard of Strathmore. Like I said, I can literally walk to Strathmore. But Strathmore is just a glorious hall, and what better space to hear that National Philharmonic and Orchestra. And in the beginning of the year, I was so delighted to be a guest of the National Philharmonic and Orchestra at their opening fundraiser at the Strathmore Mansion. And it was such an elegant evening. And shout out to my dear friend Danielle Telemontis, and her husband. They did a joint concert together, and it was amazing in the venue. Hey, cousin Keisha. Hey, Miss Yurling. Happy New Year, everybody. So it was just a great. That was a great event that kicked off, the year, me being back here. And as you all know, I started the new job at Washington Conservatory, and that really allowed me to be back where I wanted to be. As I mentioned in my comments, I definitely consider this area, this really the oyster of my career, because that was where I really had the opportunity to explore another side of myself, which is my writing. I love to write and I love to curate. And if you all notice, my style has changed. Hey, Miss Julie, you in Barbados? Well, share with your friends so I can be international in Barbados. But you all, I, as I was just sharing, the fact I do consider this like the oyster of my career because I've been able to flourish in a way that I never expected with my writing, and it's just gratifying. It's gratifying to be back here, and I'm truly 24. But definitely want to shout out the National Philharmonic, and if you find it in your heart to contribute to that organization, just do a little search. And yeah, consider making a year-end gift. Also, it just go down the list. And you all know, like I said, hey, Miss Josepha, Happy New Year. You all know I don't do a script. So, please don't take this personal if I don't call every name, because as I mentioned, I'm definitely going to do an extended um recognition, especially my arts partners. As I mentioned, people who, I mean, when I go to these events, they really value my work. They roll out the red carpet, they make sure I'm there. But you know what? I couldn't do this mentioning the Douglas Corral. I must mention the Washington Douglas Corral. Shout out to the Washington Douglas Corral. They made their debut at the beginning of the month, well, the beginning of December, and it was held at the National United Methodist Church. And it was extraordinary. It was standing room only. It was everything that we had hoped it to be. And I'm saying we because, as you all know, the artistic directors, Scott Tucker and Nola Williams Jr., they invited me to be the one to really break the news about the forming of this choir. And I was so elated to do that. And then fast forward, their debut was in December. It was their festive Christmas concert, Noel. And it was just it was glorious. I mean, it was such a rich tapestry of music that really, 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 really reflected the mission that they were trying to accomplish, which is intentional diversity. I mean, they did the Daniel Pinkham Christmas cantata. They did Evelyn Simpson Curitan. Let me talk about her. She was on the organ. You know, oh my gosh, Miss Evelyn, to me, she's so underrated. She does not get the the kudos that she deserves. She is a genius at that instrument. She sat at that instrument and she played her own setting of "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," and it was just amazing. So definitely, I want to shout out the Washington Douglas Corral. You all, I don't think their next concert is till April, but stay tuned, keep abreast. Shout out to Nola Williams Jr. and Scott Tucker. Again, congratulations. I was honored to be there. It seemed like all of DC's choral royalty, you were at that church for your debut. And even though it was on the same night as the Kennedy Center honors, the people were still in the house. So I was so glad. I was so glad. So again, congratulations to the Washington Douglas Corral. And I want to fast forward because I would be remiss if I did not in Methodist Church again, because you all know the first time I ever was probably, I want to say maybe 11 years ago. I say it's around that time. I could be wrong, but this is when Metropolitan Baptist Church used to do Messiah, and they needed a bigger, and they had it at that church. It's a glorious Gothic church. And the reason I mention it because I'm a tie in. You all know I love full circles and connecting the dots. So when I heard that Messiah, under the direction of Raymond Braxton Bryant, um, when he did it there, he had of solos as well. And as you all know, church is predominantly African, and his soloists, naturally they were African American soloists, but they were the creme de la creme. But well, actually two. The soprano was Brandy Sutton. So I've been following Brandy Sutton a long time. Hey, James Glover, Happy New Year. I've been following Brandy Sutton a very long time, even from the Hampton University Ministers Conference days. And then the other, the mezzo was Lucia Bradford. Oh, and fast forward at Strathmore with the National Philharmonic. I got to go back to talking about the National Philharmonic because you all know it was, I guess I should say, year before last that the National Philharmonic, they opened up this amazing conversation, but never in this area. They did Handel's Messiah, but they also illuminated the fact that the great composer Handel, Atlantic slave trade, and of course that his he gained from that. And so they opened that conversation up. They had a pre-concert talk, and it added another facet to it. And I'm gonna go back to that later. So just to fast forward, Lucia was the mezzo then, and then this time around, hear her, but that Messiah happened last year was amazing because the Philharmonic did something different last year. Y'all, I'm sorry, I gotta get the fact that we're in 2024 now. They did something different because they did it semi-staged, and I hope that you all took time to read my review on my website. I couldn't pull out every single last thing, but it was amazing how they did it semi-staged. The soloists were amazing. Soprano, shout out to Andy Marie Moore. You had the mezzo, as I mentioned, Lucia Bradford. You had tenor Norma Shako, Shenandoah, and then my buddy Jarrell Graham, Jarrell Williams, baritone. And I must shout out Jarrell because their brother, we've known each other over the years. He's always been supportive. And the first time, I want to say the first time we met in first Messiah that I mentioned at Strathmore. But the thing that really endeared me to him recently was the fact of the brunch, and I got to thank him and just celebrate his career with him. And I'm so happy for him and his little precious baby and his beautiful bride and their family. They are a talented family. So shout out involved. But I want to go back to that Messiah. The fact that they did it semi-stage. Hey, Vera, Happy New Year. Hey, Greg Walker, D, Happy New Year. Hey, Antoine, Happy New Year. Y'all sorry I'm so delayed. I want to show y'all comments, but for some reason, y'all, I don't know if they give y'all a permission or this comment, it allows my sister to her comment to be shown. I don't know who this is right here, but they said that Evelyn was his. Shucks, y'all. Yeah, I'm sorry, my Christmas tree is giving y'all a full glare, y'all. But I want to go back. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted trying to read all the comments. But that Messiah was amazing. It was semi-staged. It had some very powerful moments, and I hope that they consider doing it again. But y'all, for all my DC people, especially my Shiloh people, that that's not the first time that was done. Do you remember? I know this probably had to be like maybe 12 years ago. Do you all remember when Dr. Thomas Dixon Tyler did Messiah at Shiloh in DC, and they did Messiah staged? It was amazing. It was the first time I ever had seen it in the context of a church. Now, I had seen different opera houses and I had seen things done, in Europe, but I had never seen it done in the context of a church. And they did that at Shiloh because my teacher, shout out to Dr. Lisa Edwards Burrs, I will never forget, she was a soprano and she had on angel's wings. And I will never forget that she sang the aria, Come Unto Him, on her knees. Broke the church up. It broke the church up. I mean, because that line and that is one of those moving arias where it says, and you shall find rest unto your souls. That line, I probably messed it all up, but y'all know what I'm saying. Come all ye that labor. So I mentioned the National Philharmonic. I must shout out the Washington Bach Consort. It seems like when I got back to the area that the Strathmore has really been a bastion of all of my activity because I've gone to concerts back to back. Shout out to the Washer Bot Consort at Dana Marsh. They always welcome me. And I definitely have to mention the Washington Chorus, who has been on this long time. Shout out to Eugene Rogers, the Washington Chorus. I went to several things with them, and I was so saddened when I missed when they did the Scenes from a Life of a Martyr by Undine Smith Moore. I was under the weather and couldn't make it. Hey, Sonny Sumter, Happy New Year. Hey, CJ Boysaw, Happy New Year. And so shout out to the Washington Chorus. Indeed, they have been on this journey with me for a long time. Choral Art Society of Washington. I just was at their gala. That is the ticket of the year. And they always include me in their gala. And I always look forward to go and find something new to wear to that gala. I can't say that I'm blessed never that I have to repeat, but I can't wait to see what goes on at the gala. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about the Choral Arts Gala, because I'm going to say more about that, even though we're a little bit beyond Christmas, because that be like the ticket of the year in the choral community. If you have never been to the Choral Arts Annual Holiday Gala, it is a must. And this year, Marie McCoy Calavan was the guest conductor. This fabulous conductor. And a shout out to all of the women conductors out there. Honey, that woman let you know she was going to wear what she wanted to wear. When I tell you, Maestra Calavan had on this beautiful gal, wine color off the shoulder, glamorous. She gave you glamour off the podium. She gave you glamour on the podium in appearance, and she gave you elegance and glamour in her conducting. So definitely a big shout out to Choral Arts and Marie McCoy Calavan. She just really set the tone. That orchestra, the choir was amazing. They had some wonderful premieres and things like that. And I'm gonna sit down and try to, pump those things out. But I have to shout out Choral Arts. They always have been supportive. And I must shout out Taz Asinski, but I also must shout out Deborah Kraft. Because if you all know, if you've been following my journey, when I first got on the scene, it was because of Deborah Kraft. She invited me to my gala, and I never will forget when I was sitting at the table and I shared my story how I used to work at the Kennedy Center, and I went on to other things, and it was a full circle for me to be sitting at that table at that gala as a guest and not as an employee at the Kennedy Center. And then it was a gentleman at the table, and I brought it to his attention. We high-fived across the table, because you never know where your journey is going to take you. Happy New Year. You never know where your journey is going to take you. So you have to just on and just know that something great is coming. So definitely shout out to the choral. Shout out to always a mainstay at their events. I had speaking of Washington Performing opportunity, and I hope that it works out that I can interview this person. Because I brought it up to them when I went to the concert. I said I'm going to be better and more deliberate as far as when I want to interview people and things like that. Sometimes, believe it or not, I hold back. But at Wallinger and Pratt was in recital with Simone Dinnerstein. They did a duo piano recital under the auspices of Washington Performing Arts. And it was just amazing, because I can't say that I've ever been to a duo recital like that. It was very special. So I'm hoping that Across the Arts will have Mr. Pratt as a guest in particular, and I'm excited because I've admired him for a long time. A long time. Hey, Gary Coffee, Happy New Year. Hey, Mr. Dance, Happy New Year. So y'all, that was great. So keep your eyes peeled and tuned for that. And I want to shout out to my dear friend Chase Margiano, who is with Sound Impact. I had the amazing opportunity to attend their Silver Soiree. I got to shout them out. They're doing great work with young people and music education. They have all kinds of partnerships. They celebrate their 10-year anniversary. And so I was able to be at Sound Impact at their wonderful gala downtown at the Longview Gallery in DC. and I got to put on my little black and silver jacket, ran into people, and those jackets are for me, it's more than a jacket when I get those jackets because it's kind of like my statement. Because probably being one of the few black arts journalists, particularly focusing in classical music, I don't wear, if I just wore a black suit, if I just wore a black tux, I would just be like anybody, any and everybody else who's there. So I definitely like to set myself apart. And so that's kind of been like my trademark. So I always try to go find an eccentric jacket. But the thing about it is, do know that I'm not going to wear that to certain things. Like those are more like statement pieces. But if I was going to a fraternity meeting or anything like that, that I'm going to be on the conservative side. So shout out Baggiano at Sound Impact and Tiffany Richardson, that whole gang there. It was just a wonderful. That was a wonderful event. Extemporaneously, I don't talk with a script. I'm just thinking about all the things that I, have experienced and how they're going to just really catapult me into. See what else have. Oh, I know what I want to talk about because I got to shout this brother out. You all, I did something very adventurous. I want to say that was back in February. Across to New York City. Across the arts, we went to New York City. Had a ball. I in New York, but went to New York. Hey, Camille. Oh my goodness, Jim! I wish I could put that comment on the screen. I don't know why it won't allow for all the comments that I'm seeing because y'all, Jim Kelly, he just said he's still thinking about my jacket. All right, at the Impact Silver soiree. Thank you. And I'm trying to find something. I would love to curate something, but y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all, it's not a secret because because I'm live, so it's no secret. I've gained a few pounds. If you've gained a few pounds, I gained a few pounds, and so some of my gala jacket fit. So I really have to live up to one of my New Year's resolutions. I've been wasting my gym membership, and I really need to go to the gym because I'm telling you, I don't think it's just a point of the jacket about the jacket getting let out because I need to just go ahead and let some of this weight go. So yeah, so before I buy anything else, I need to do my due diligence and my part and lose a couple of pounds because I try to put on some of these jackets and I don't want to become a meme. Have y'all seen those memes where the button is so tight and the button looks like it's hanging on for dear life? I don't want to be that person. Hey, Miss Rita, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Does anybody want to join? I would love to bring you on if you want to talk about. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year. So if anybody want to join and come on, I would love to bring you on. And I think I'm gonna see how do I, I'm just experimenting. Hey Janelle, Happy New Year. Rise and shine, it's coffee time, y'all. So yes, so you all might hear my favorite girl in the background, Kathleen. But y'all, I'm not gonna hold y'all much longer. I just wanted to get on here and touch base with y'all and just thank you for all your support and shout out some of my supporters. And I don't know where I stopped, but I know we were talking about the Silver Soiree for Sound Impact, and that was an amazing event. Oh, I know I was saying about the jackets. Before I buy another one, I need to go lose some weight. How about that? Thank you. Happy New Year. Let's see. Oh, and of course, the Coalition for African Americans in the Performing Arts. If you all don't know about this organization, I hope that you all will, Google it or look it up and like their Facebook page. This organization is very intentional about enriching the classical community with the presence of persons of color. In fact, their whole mission statement is to bring color to the classics. And so I want to shout out Terry Allen and Kappa. They have been on this journey a long time. Their masterclass series was probably the first before anybody ever thought about doing a masterclass series that catered to historically Black colleges and universities. They just do so many things, especially during the pandemic. So I hope that you all will shout out and support the Coalition for African Americans in Performing Arts. Out Shenandoah University, where I have the privilege of serving on the Conservatory Advisory Board under the sterling leadership of Dr. Michael Stepniak, who was promoted to Dean for Creativity and the Arts. Just so many things, so many great things. So a shout out to Shenandoah University. I want to shout out my church, St. John's Episcopal Church in Beltsville, Maryland. You all, I will be entering my 7th year this year. I can't believe where time goes. This will be my 7th year as organist and choir master. It has been a joy. If you all know, I'm not going to talk a lot emotional, but you all know that church came at a very pivotal time in my life. It was right where I was at the crossroads. Some of you all may know 6.5 years ago, I was, I left Trinity and I wasn't playing anywhere. And I would be talking to my mom and she would be like, because I wasn't playing anywhere. She's like, boy, you better get in that church. Because, I was talking talking to her about how all my other friends, they go to brunch and they travel. And I'm all like, don't worry about your friends. You better be in the church. So for a while, I wasn't playing at church. And it is like, just like the position at St. John's dropped out of the sky like manna from heaven. I went there around this time. That it was like the Sunday of that we call the baptism of our. Thank you, Josepha. And Sunday I went to church after I said I wasn't going, but I went. And then I was hired by Father Constant, who is a jewel of a man. I mean, if there was ever a priest or man of God, and in the dictionary, which I know it is, his picture needs to be the poster child, because he just I can't say enough. But at any rate, Father Constant hired me as organist and choir master that Sunday, and that Tuesday, I want to say, but it was the 11th. My mother went home to be with the Lord. It was almost like she was waiting for me to get settled. And after I told her, it was a few more days in between, we had talked, and then she went on. So, it just, that place is special. And people used to ask me when I was living in Petersburg this past 2 years, because you all know I kept my job. It's almost like I was in the DC area, because every week I was here, every Sunday without fail. I was playing at St. John's, so I would get up early. I would get up about 5 o'clock in the morning. I would get up about 5 o'clock in the morning so I could get to St. John's on time on Sunday morning. And then I would turn around and drive right back home to be on the campus for school. People would ask me, well, how do you drive 2 hours? Why do you drive 2 hours? Now you see why, don't you? So sometimes you don't see the end result right then and there, but you all see it now, because the Lord ordained it so that my tenacity and my dedication. I didn't want to give up that church, and I want to hold on to it as long as I can. Church musicians know it is hard to find a church where you are celebrated in your ministry, where the leadership respects you as the musician and all that you bring to the table. And I have that at St. John's in space. So I entered my 7 years there. But yeah, people was asking me, how do you drive 2 hours? I mean, it was like nothing. But now look what God has done. I'm right here in the crossroads of everything that I do professionally. I still can't say it enough, that I can't believe that I am literally down the street from Strathmore. Like, Strathmore Music Hall is in my neighborhood. And if y'all remember, when I was at Virginia State, I had the opportunity to participate with the concert choir. I was able to bring them here to DC, actually to North Bethesda, and we sang the Defiant Requiem, which is an arrangement or a setting of Verdi's great work. And we did it with all of these other choirs, and we sang in the Music Center and Strap Choir with my choir. So it's full circle now that I am actually here, back here in this area. And every time I choir, because I remember we stayed at the Marriott, which is across the street, and we ate at the Chick-fil-A, and we just had a great time. Oh, thank you so much, Janelle. Thank you so much. God is good. Because I'm telling you, people was asking me to go back to that since Janelle mentioned that. You know, I just couldn't imagine how things turned out. Everything was well, and just sometimes record straight, but I I am just so happy. And I want to be very clear, as I mentioned before, sometimes people, oh, everything he posts is good. Trust me, everything that I have been through has not been good. And my close circle of friends, they know full well that everything I've been through has not been good. But by the grace of God, all of those tests that I had became testimonies. And I'm thankful that, as I mentioned, I was calling out a lot of the arts presenters and things that have been on this journey with me. And there's so many and individual supporters, too numerous to name. But I know I mentioned the main ones that I'm regularly at their stuff. And now 2024 comes, I'm really going to ramp up my coverage. I had made a comment on Facebook, and I hope that if anybody has contact with any media communications majors, anybody in sound recording, anything like that, I really need of some sort. I really don't have a large budget to pay. I can pay like a stipend or something like that. But I really need help because, when I go to these events, a bit more than me passing my phone to somebody to take a picture and things like that. And I don't have a huge budget. I really don't. But it would be a great opportunity if you know a young college student at one of these, Howard University, Bowie, University of District of Columbia, UDC, American, Georgetown, any of the universities around in the area, and students, somebody under your tutelage, anybody who is actually an artist, and you want to get the lay of the land, because confidently say now that I'm gonna have access. It wasn't always like that. To God be the glory. I go to these concert halls, I go to these spaces, and people know who I am before I get there. And so I want to be able to share that access with someone because hey Michelle, hey DJ, Happy New Year. I know, and my close circle of friends know that I know that I know. I know what it's like to have doors closed in your face. No matter what the talent you offer, no matter what the skill set you present, no matter what the credentials you have, I definitely have the doors shut in your face and somebody to tell you not on the list. You're not just a blogger, but to God be the glory. God has done some great things. And I said, I don't want anybody to ever experience that kind of thing. And I can honestly again say that I have got to a point where I have the access. I'm a welcome guest at these events. And I know that people can speak to the fact that when I have access and I see that you're in a situation where they're trying not to let you get in, I make a way. It recently happened. Trust me. And and I'm not going to speak about it, but I'll just say this. People know, like if I'm in a situation where I have access and then somebody leave in at the little desk, oh, no. That is a bad feeling. And I have experienced it. So I'm going back to this thing again. If you know a young person, a young college student who has interest, especially in the performing arts, in class. We want them to have the opportunity, or they're looking for something like an internship, particularly if they are a photographer, if they're good with social media, they can stream. They may want to have their own column. My website, shout out to Peralta Design. Y'all, Peralta Design invested in me when I didn't have the money to I remember when I started doing, okay, hey Max, hey Brandon. I remember when I initially started doing these interviews and I was trying to get myself out there. And even when I was writing for Washington Life and I was trying to package myself, my frat brother, Ramon Peralta, he probably don't even still to this day appreciate and celebrate the fact of his own development in his field. But when he came up with his wonderful company, Peralta Design, I remember he did this one graphic for me, announcing all of my interviews for Washington Life. And he didn't charge me. So one of the things I did when I was when I was going to do my website, I was going to seek him out, and they did a bang up job with my website. If you ever get a chance, please visit my website on there, www.patrickdmccoy.com. You'll find interviews, you'll find reviews, you'll find all of my press work. But also, if you're somebody that you're trying to take your projects to the next level, as I'm trying to take myself to the next level, then of course, I've been doing a lot of work over the years, pro bono, but they offer media packages. So if I can help you in a way that we both can have a win-win, check out those packages. But of course, that's not to say it's pay for play or something like that. I'm going to cover the arts regardless. But those things would help me take my across the arts to the next level, because I hope that it goes. I've had great feedback from the things that I have done. But I want to go back to the thing about the interns. I hope that you all will consider, if you know a young person who is serious. I want to be clear, because these are important spaces that I go into, to be a credit to themselves first, and I want them to be a credit to across the arts. So they have to be somebody exemplary, and they know how to carry themselves, because these spaces, they invite me in, they're gracious, and they will extend that same graciousness to whoever I introduce them to. Hey Sonny, thank you so much. Sonny, let's please do lunch or something in the new year. Why? Hey, New Year. Shout out to Miss Anne Marie. She is the president of the National Association of Negro Musicians. Always great to have her. But going back to that, if you all know someone, and again, I can't stress that they have to be serious. They have to carry themselves in a way that is demonstrative. That's the way I carry myself when I go into these spaces. So again, if it's a person who photography, the land day, and you know what? And I'm gonna say this. When I was on really exploring classical music criticism and arts journalism and things like that, there weren't a lot of models that looked like me, but I am thankful for the models and the mentors. Out my dear friend Ann Majette. Ann Majette, she really supported me when she was the chief classical music critic at the Washington Post. And even though she's not there now, she really still offers me, and so shout out to Ann Majette. But in terms of music critics of color, there weren't many, and I can't say there are many who focus on classical music and performing arts. But I would tell you, you all know, if you know me well enough, hey, Wendell, Happy New Year. People who know me well enough know, my idol is the great Raoul Abdul, who for many years was the classical music critic for the Amsterdam News in New York. And I remember I got a chance to meet him one time randomly, and that's when I went to New York for one of Miss Battle's first kind of re-entry recitals at Carnegie Hall. I want to say it was like 2007, something like that. It might have been before then. But Raul Abdul, I mean, he is the person that I really model myself after. Because a lot of my friends who knew him a little bit more than I did, they would tell me that my style is similar to him because Raul Abdul, they say that he wasn't just like a music critic going tearing people down at their concerts. He was actually going, he would go, he would know about the literature that he's going to hear, rapport with the artist, and then that continued into their spaces because he was a great musician himself. So with those musicians, and so there was a community feel with him. Come that when people see me coming, it's not like, oh my God, a critic. That's not what I want. I want to be somebody that when I walk into the space, they know that I'm there to amplify the beauty of what is being created. I don't go to things I don't like. So you don't have to even worry about me making a attempt to just butcher or to be mean spirited because I really go to things that resonate with me because I'm a musician. I have always um, music, even from my teenage years, and I would be remiss if I did not shout out, my mentors, especially my high school music teacher. My high school music teacher, Donna R. Lundy, Mrs. Lundy. Even though I had had many musical experiences, she was the one that really brought it out of me in high school by encouraging me to be in competitions and things like that. And I in turn inspired her too because I remember when I elected to do more heavier works or classical pieces as it will. I was the one that really said, well, you should do this and you should do that, you should do this. And so she did. And she's just a special person. She just really has been always supportive, even in my adult life. And one thing that fascinated me was one of the times I went to go, I think I was living in Winchester or something. And I was teaching at Peter High School, and there was a bulletin board dedicated to me. So the students knew who I was and things like that. Lundy, you all gonna hear this name to ad nauseum, Dr. James F. Peak Jr. I affectionately call him Minister of Music at West End Baptist Church, which used to be on West Washington Street in Petersburg, and the church relocated. But he was the one that introduced me to all this great music that I know now, as far as the great operas, the oratorios, the masses, the artist. I mean, I like to talk about Jim Peak. He allowed me to sing in my first performance of Messiah as a teenager, and if you all know me, of course, Messiah is an integral part of my former musician because it seems like all roads lead to Messiah. Because a lot of those artists that I have experienced with some of my teachers, or they were world-renowned artists who I have interviewed and things like that. And yeah, so shout out to Jim Peak. But I definitely can't have a conversation about mentors without talking about my choral director, my first voice teacher, Mrs. Janella Lucas Edmonds. I mean, I can't have any conversation um, about my development as a musician without her. I mean, because she, first of all, Mrs. Edmonds not and does not and will not play games when it comes to. And I remember she used to tell us, especially the tenors, we would come in with our peacock feathers because I came in and I thought I knew everything, and she let me knew that I would never be that wrong, especially in her choir. But on a serious note, Miss Edmonds, that was where I really got to sing the major works, the beginning of the major works as a singer. I remember the first, probably like we sang the Mozart, Regina Caeli, and we sang the Poulenc Gloria. We sang the Handel Chandos anthem, "Oh Praise the Lord with One Consent." And I got to sing the tenor solos in the cantata, Nunquam der Heiligen Heiland by Bach. I mean, I just had so many amazing things that happened to me in that choir of Virginia State University under the tutelage of Mrs. Edmonds. So If you all know Mrs. Edmonds, even though she's retired from the university, I just hope that she would, that they would put her on this circuit. You know how you have all the circuit of all the choral conducts and things like that. I mean, that's somebody I would pay. I would pay money, and I was a student. I would pay money. Workshops. So I had to shout out Miss Emmons. And then there's so, when I was in Virginia, talk about the fact that I got to work with one of my childhood idols. You never know how things come in a full circle. Shout out to Tim Hall. Tim, let me tell y'all about Tim. So when I was like I would say middle school, I used to read see all these articles back in the day in Petersburg. They used to all their special concerts. I remember they did Messiah at Christ and Grace. So you all put a pin in that. Christ and Grace Episcopal Church, the local Episcopal church there in Petersburg. And so I remember I used to see the name Tim Hall. I was like, and I just, never thought more about it. But let's just fast forward all these years later. Of course, I had met Tim since then as an adult. I knew both of his lovely parents. I first met his father, the late Harry Hall. He used to sing Sweet Little Jesus Boy, West End, for the Christmas Eve service. And that was, of course, by me being introduced to West End from Jim Peak. But fast forward all these years later, Tim was my accompanist at Virginia State. He's still there. But just to be able to work with a friend, talented. And it was full circle, y'all. Because remember I mentioned he was at Christ and Grace all those years ago. And then he left Petersburg for years. He was at Christ Church, that's the United Methodist Church. And he was the Savannah Symphony Chorus, up at Savannah on stage. And then he has just recently, over the last few years, come back home to be organist choir master at Christ and Grace Episcopal Church, where it sort of began, where he was organist and choir master from when I saw his name in that article. So it's just amazing. Hey, Jason, Happy New Year. So, I've had all these beautiful full circle moments, and I would not be who I am as a musician without those great mentors. I am just filled with gratitude. And as I mentioned, everything that happened to me in 2023 was not a bed of roses, because I had some doubts. I had some evasions. I really didn't know. Leona, Happy New Year. Hey, Dave Ragland. Dave Ragland, did I see you in the color purple? Let me know. I don't know whether my eyes were playing tricks on me now, but I think I saw you in the color purple. Did I? You must have a twin. Shout out, everybody. But y'all, everything has not been wonderful. Everything has not. But if I didn't learn anything, I learned that your disappointments will catapult you into Paris. Happy New Year. It will catapult you into your destiny. What I thought was a disappointment, it wasn't a disappointment. It knocked me off my rockers for a minute, but it gave me the opportunity to regroup. And I had in 2023, it was so unexpected. But I still say one of the greatest joys that I experienced was directing that choir at Virginia State. I had the opportunity not only once, but twice to return to my alma mater, to walk into that choir room and conduct the very choir that I sang in under the great Janella L. Edmonds, and to get to do some of the same staple literature that she did, and also with my own twist of things. I can't say enough. It's so wonderful. I'm just so happy for them. I can't wait to see the great things that they continue to do in the current choir. I can't wait to see what they're going to do in their professional careers as they matriculate and move on. I can't believe I have students who have graduated from college and they have come back and have told me thank you. Of course, you all know my career began in the middle school classroom. Shout out to Peabody Middle School. Peabody in my hometown, Petersburg. That was the school that I went to. And I saw a post not too long ago when one of my friends they put up a picture of Peabody, and it garnered some mixed reviews. But I would say that every time I look at that school, I just think about the history. First of all, it's considered that, if I'm not mistaken, if I say this wrong, somebody from please correct me. Peabody, that is considered the first black high school, if I'm not mistaken. It's something that is a very historic place. I just regret that they are not maintaining that building. But to my point, Peabody later, of course, became a middle school. I attended there as a student. I had some rough experiences there, but as far as what it represents for me, it's full circle, because that place really gave me um, my wits and made me a person of a different stock, because you had to be tough there. And not as far as like the students, the teachers were academically. And it was full circle for me because my mother was the custodian. And I tell this story, and I don't want to bore y'all to death because you all know I can talk and I can go on and on and on. But when I first graduated from Virginia State, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. All I knew was I was going to be an upstanding citizen because I have a college degree. But as far as me really having a path forward about what I wanted to do with music, that wasn't even a consideration. I hadn't thought about it. I was just happy. And so I'll never forget, my mother was a custodian at Peabody. Gail P. Alexander was the principal. Now, Gail P. Alexander was my civics teacher when I was a student at Peabody. And she was telling my mother, the music teacher, see, Miss Anna was the principal of Peabody right when I had finished. And so to make a long story short, my mom said, I know just the person. And you never know how things are going to turn around. Miss Alexander's gone on to be with the Lord now, and so is my mother. But you never know who is going to open the door. And it's so ironic how my mother was a janitor and how I make that parallel, because she held as she opened that door a person's station or what their position was. My mother was a custodian, but she held a lot of power in her job. And I tell any young teacher, anybody who has to be in a position where you need access, the very first person is the custodian, is the janitor. It's not going to be the person, your boss, that's going to come and open a door for you or make sure you have a projector. Any of that, you need to be first in tune with the janitor, and then next after that, the people who are making your food. I remember when I was a young teacher, I didn't have hardly any money to do anything. And them sweet ladies, matter of fact, I wish I could remember my brother's name, and I always speak to him all the time because his mother was the cafeteria worker when I was elementary. And I just remember that lady, she knew that I didn't have any money, and that I always had food. And I wish I could remember. Why am I drawing a blank on the brother's name? We talk all the time on Facebook. His mother was the cafeteria. I'm sorry, that wasn't Stewart. That's wrong. When I went to Rosa Parks, because you all know I Parks and I moved to Maryland. But my point is, hey Keith, Happy New Year. You make sure that you are kind to those people that give you access, especially the custodian. I can't say enough. But it was just so ironic how my mother held the keys and she opened that door for me, because when she said that comment to Mrs. Alexander, and she had a great rapport with Miss Alexander, I mean, Miss Alexander hired me for that job. So I taught at the very middle school. And so there's a dignity that I have. I remember all my former students. Shout out to all of my former Peabody Middle School students. And not just because a great choir, because those students were dedicated, and those parents. One thing about a Black parent, let me tell y'all this, and I'm not necessarily making it about race, but in this instance, I have to talk about these Black dedicated parents that I encountered at Peabody Middle School. Because one thing, I don't care what anybody say, there's a sense of dignity and stock in a Black community. And that school, it really formed a church. And I'm so grateful for those experiences. But when I would have programs, those parents worked hard jobs, but it didn't matter what kind of job they worked, or they had worked graveyard shift or whatever the case may be. They would make sure those kids had those uniforms, those proper attire, their little white blouses and their blouses. Matter of fact, it's a picture on Facebook that has many of my students in there. I have students who have gone on to do great things. But you all know what's so funny? Most of my students they're close to my age, because when I taught, my first was 21. So a lot of those students that I taught, they're like 36, 37, something like that. But they still call me Mr. McCoy. All of my students do. I just am thankful that I have commanded such a respect from them that, I might look like them. I might do social media. I might, wear a little stuff that's similar to them, but they call me all of them. It's a level of respect, and in turn, I have a level of respect for them, and I wish everyone well. And I'm gonna wrap this up, y'all. But I just want to say thank you all for your support. I think my big call for support, I hope that you all will consider helping me, is Across the Arts. I really want to take Across the Arts. It's going there. I feel like, how I feel like I'm kind of teeter-totter, but it's at a place now that I have the demand. The arts. Hey, Chris, Happy New Year. The demand is there. People are willing to allow me to interview them. Um, but it's just, I want to do it in such a way that presents the excellence that I want to capture. So again, just in closing, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that you will continue to support me. Peruse and share my website, www.patrickdmccoy.com. I hope that you will consider continuing to support the performing arts organizations that I support and that I cover their businesses, including the Washington Chorus, the Choral Arts Society of Washington, the National Phil, the Concerts of Washington Performing Arts, Vocal Arts DC, and the list goes on. Washington Douglas Chorale, Washington Master Chorale. Oh! Shout out! And see, that's why I wish I this is a time where I wish I had a script. I had the amazing opportunity to attend this concert by the Washington Master Chorale. It featured all living young Black composers, and it was amazing. And you have seen my interview. See, I don't have my script or anything, and I don't deal with one. But if you all will go to my YouTube channel, you will see the recent interview that I did with those artists and with Tom Callahan. Shout out to Tom Callahan. I'm thankful for these organizations who are really being intentional in trying to amplify the work of Black composers in their work. So Washington Master Chorale, um, Washington National Opera. Shout out to Denise Graves. As you all know, she launched her Shared Voices, and she also presented the opera. She was the director of the opera. I want to say Passion of Mary Caldwell Dawson, that at the Kennedy Center, the music by Carlos Simon and libretto by Sandra Seaton. That was an amazing opera that I got to see. And so that was presented at the Kennedy Center. But it also, of course, before that, its premiere was done at Glimmerglass, and it has an exhibit, and the exhibit is being toured all over the country. So shout out to Denise Graves and all of those involved with that. Did you all get a chance to see Kiki Combos last night? It was great last night. So shout out to Kenny Overton and Karen Slack. You all know they were our pandemic hosts during the pandemic when no one could go anywhere. So we were on Kiki Conversations, and we were with Kenny Overton and Larry Brownlee, and the list goes on. Everybody was a talk show host. Everybody was a talk show host through the pandemic. As you all know, what I did was it gave me the courage to expand across the arts, because you all know my anniversary came across the arts. I've been doing this for the over 13 years. I want to say it first started out as a podcast on Blog Talk Radio. And then, I started to do more and more. And then when the pandemic came, that inspired me to go ahead and try the virtual component, which I did. And then now I'm moving towards live in-person events. I want to go back to the event that I had the amazing opportunity to host for Dean Stepniak. He was promoted as the Dean of Creativity and the Arts at Shenandoah University, my alma mater. And so I hosted a wonderful Across the Arts event at the Gaylord. And it was a live event. It was a reception, and I interviewed him live. Hey, Dwayne Wayne. And so I want to expand upon that in the new year. And I know what I was about to say before I go. Shout out to superstar tenor Lawrence Brownlee. Let me tell you all something. In this art form, in this arena, it's rare to run across someone as approachable and down to earth as Larry Brownlee. If you all don't know who Larry Brownlee is, look him up. He is just an amazing tenor. I say superstar tenor because he is a superstar. And back in February, I had the opportunity to travel to New York City. I took Across the Arts in New York City, and I interviewed live right in the backyard of the Metropolitan Opera, right in the middle of downtown. He was so gracious. He had all the time. Hey, Twan Doyle, Happy New Year. He gave me his time, and he gave me all the time in the world to talk about his career, as I have done many times. As you all know, I interviewed Larry for Washington Life magazine. I have had him on my podcast several times before, but this is the first time we did a live interview in the middle, right when he was doing his run of The Magic Flute by Mozart at the Metropolitan Opera. And while we were doing our interview live on the street, Brittany Olivia Logan was on her way to work out. I think she was on her way to work out or coaching or something, but she's an amazing soprano. So if you don't know who Brittany Olivia Logan, follow her. Just a wonderful soprano. I mean, she's out here doing her thing. And she happened to walk out on the interview. But yeah, it just been some great things that have happened. So I'm looking forward to 2024. Again, I hope that you all will tune in to Across the Arts on this Saturday, 11 o'clock a.m. Acclaimed composer Jeffrey Mumford, ahead of his residency with the Post-Classical Ensemble at the Kennedy Center. So that's going to be great. So again, rise and shine. I hope you had your morning coffee with me. I talked on here a little bit more than I thought. It's 10:10, you guys. Wow. I hope that all your black-eyed peas and your stewed tomatoes and so forth give you all the luck. But again, thank you all so much for your support. And again, I hope that you will continue to follow my Facebook page, Patrick D. McCoy, and then I'm on all the other social handles. If you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is PDM06. And then also, of course, if you do Twitter, at Patrick D. McCoy. I think I've given you everything. And then, of course, the more professional things like LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn. But again, Happy New Year, everybody. Rise and shine. I hope that you all will continue to share this live. I'm just, again, grateful for all of your support. I hope that you will share your information. And let me say this too. If you have news, if you have major projects, and you want to share that information with me, especially if they are press releases, please send them to my email. I'm going to put that information in the chat so you all can put that in. And so if you have press releases that you want to share, I thought I just shared my, oh shucks, let's see. Yes. So that's my email. If you have press releases about major events, especially the performing arts events, and you're seeking coverage, Patrick D. McCoy at patrickdmccoy.com. Oh, and I gotta shout out my friends. I gotta shout out my friends at Amanda Sweet, and Kendra Rubin Feld, and Hope Wheeler, all my publicist friends. I must shout you all out. Thank you all so much for providing me entree with these special events. You know, it's nothing like these great publicists. And I want to shout out Stephen Baudouin. I was glad to see him at the Kennedy Center with the Washington Chorus. You all Washington Chorus Candlelight Christmas. That was amazing. That was like another family reunion. Shout out to Nathaniel Gums. He was the organist for the particular concert that I went to, and Aaron Myers, who was featured. It was amazing to be there because, as you all know, during the pandemic, the Washington Chorus and Eugene Rogers had almost a total like virtual season, and they filmed. Hey, Sherman, Happy New Year. And they filmed the Candlelight Chorus. It was like a virtual iteration in Stratford without anybody there. So to be there live, and that place was packed, to the brim, and get to witness that, it was amazing. So shout out to the Washington Chorus. And it's just somebody, please let me know in my inbox. But I know it's so many arts presenters that I'm speaking of that have allowed me to come and cover your events. I look forward to 2024. I have more things, and I do want to drive home again. If you have a young person, a young intern, a college student preferably, who have interest in the performing arts, arts journalism, music criticism, and they will be interested in covering. So, hey, Miss Evelyn, and they'll be interested in covering some of these events with me. Because I always, as I mentioned, I always need a photographer. Me just passing my phone to somebody that just is a work or streaming. I really need somebody who is interested, and I would even give them, access to my website so they could do their own column and do their own reporting. I hope that you would take me serious on that. So again, if you know people who have connections with the music departments or the media departments, particularly at Bowie State, Howard, American, UDC, Georgetown, North College, anywhere where they have a media focus and you have people who are interested, or if you are presenters and you know people, especially young people who fit, because I need help at this point. I'm really trying to take across the arts, on a national platform and hopefully international. I do have my passport, so have passport, will travel. All right. Again, I am your host, Patrick D. McCoy, and this has been Across the Arts with Patrick D. McCoy. Wherever you have been listening from, I am so grateful for your support and presence. Trying to give a few more time for you all. If you all say something, final responses. But at any rate, have a great day.